Your life is a garden. You are the one holding the seeds. Each thought you choose, each action you repeat is something you place in the soil. And one day it grows. But the question is, what are you planting? The Stoic philosophy teaches that nothing grows without discipline. And nothing meaningful grows if you are planting someone else's dream. It is time to focus on you, not who others think you should be, not what success looks like in someone else's eyes, but what it means to be fully you. Every morning you hold a brush, and the actions you take are strokes on the canvas. Your life is your own masterpiece, and yet many leave the brush untouched, waiting for someone to hand them permission to begin. Clarity is your first duty, because if you do not know what you want, you will always serve what others want. Without clarity, you drift. You follow trends. You confuse distraction with purpose. You become busy, but never fulfilled. The Stoic sits in silence and asks the hard questions. What do I truly want? What brings peace? What makes me better? The answers are not always obvious, but asking them is where your power begins. You must strip away the noise, the voices of society that measure success by applause, the opinions of family who confuse safety with meaning, the fears of peers who have given up on their own growth. Ask yourself, what life would you create if you feared nothing? If you did not worry about being judged or misunderstood? That vision is where your clarity lives. And once you hold that vision, your choices become easier. You no longer chase what sparkles because you know what shines. You begin to say no with strength. You stop chasing every opportunity and focus on the few that align with your purpose. Clarity simplifies life. It does not remove the challenge, but it removes the confusion. The Stoic knows that the greatest anxiety comes from living someone else's plan. When your path is clear, you move with quiet power. You act with intention. You let go of comparison, because your direction is not their direction. But clarity is not a one-time event. It must be renewed, revisited, reflected on, because you grow, and your vision must grow with you. Take time to ask again and again what still matters, what no longer fits, what needs to be released. Life is not static. Purpose evolves, but truth remains. The Stoic man lives by design, not default. He walks his path, not with arrogance, but with awareness. Each step he takes is rooted in reflection, not reaction. And when confusion returns, as it always will, he returns to stillness and listens again. He knows that clarity is not something you find once, but something you cultivate daily. So look at your life. Ask yourself what you are building, with your time, your habits, your mind. What seeds are you planting? Because what you plant today, you will harvest tomorrow. Clarity is the beginning, but mindset is the gatekeeper. Your thoughts shape your life long before your circumstances ever will. You can have a clear vision, but if your mind is undisciplined, it will crumble. The moment challenge appears. The Stoic philosophy reminds us that our mind is our first territory. If you lose the battle there, you lose it everywhere. You must master your mind or be mastered by it. Every belief you hold either sharpens you or softens you. Every inner dialogue either lifts you or limits you. A mind full of doubt will shrink from progress even when opportunity stands at the door. But a mind trained for strength will create a way even when the path is unclear. Your thoughts become your patterns, and your patterns become your destiny. What are you repeating to yourself? Are you saying, I am not ready, I always mess up, I am not as good as them? Or are you saying, this is hard, but I will rise, I am learning, I am enough? The Stoic does not wait for the world to believe in him. He trains himself to believe in his own resilience because he knows that confidence is not inherited, it is built. You must rewire your mind as a warrior sharpens his blade. Daily, deliberately. Catch every thought that weakens you. Replace it with one that aligns with who you are becoming. Do not let fear be your first reaction. Let truth be your first response. That truth comes from practice. You must practice mental strength like you train the body. Visualize. See yourself handling difficulty with calm. See yourself choosing discipline over impulse. See yourself walking away from noise and returning to your focus. The mind cannot tell the difference between a vividly imagined act and a real one. Use this truth. Train your response before the crisis comes, so that when it does, you are already ready. Resilience is not gifted. It is earned in the way you respond to every minor difficulty and the way you recover from every disappointment. The Stoic man does not deny his emotion. He disciplines it. He feels, but he is not ruled. He thinks, but he is not enslaved. He surrounds himself with clarity, with wisdom, with truth. He guards his environment because he knows his mind absorbs everything. And what he absorbs, he becomes. So protect your peace. Choose your inputs wisely. Your music, your news, your conversations, your circle. Everything is shaping something within you. Let what enters build the fortress, not erode it. And when hardship comes, as it will, the man with the trained mind does not break. He bends, he breathes, he recalibrates, and he rises. The Stoic philosophy teaches that storms do not shake stone, only sand. Make your mind a mountain. Your mindset is your fortress, but your habits are the bricks that build it. What you do daily is who you become. You cannot rise on motivation alone. You cannot grow on inspiration alone. You grow on structure, on rhythm, on discipline. The Stoic philosophy does not worship intensity. It honors consistency. One small act done every day is more powerful than a burst of effort followed by weeks of silence. Each day you are building, whether you know it or not. The question is, what are you building? Are your habits constructing a life of peace, purpose, and progress? Or are they laying bricks that trap you in patterns of escape, of self-doubt, of regret? Examine yourself with honesty. No drama, no shame, just truth. Where do your hours go? Where does your attention rest? What do your first 10 minutes each morning say about who you are becoming? You do not rise to your goals. You fall to your systems. That is why the Stoic builds habits that are quiet, strong, repetitive, and deliberate. There is no need for applause because the reward is not in being seen. It is in becoming solid. The habits that transform your life are not complicated. They are simple and repeated. Waking up early, not because it's trendy, but because it trains command over your comfort. Moving your body not because of vanity, but because it sharpens your mind. Reading truth not to impress, but to feed the soul before the world interrupts it. Writing your thoughts not for art, but for clarity, for cleansing, for order. Sitting in silence not to escape, but to return to what matters. Habits do not lie. They will tell you the truth about your trajectory. The Stoic examines his habits not once, but always. He adjusts, not with guilt, but with intention. He knows that change is not a sudden event. It is a gradual alignment of values and behavior, and this alignment creates integrity. Integrity is not moral superiority. It is internal unity. It is when what you believe matches what you do, even when no one is watching. And when that happens, you become trustworthy to yourself. Trust in self is the foundation of confidence. It does not come from success, it comes from self-respect. Self-respect is built every time you do what you said you would do. Even the small things. Especially the small things. The Stoic knows that momentum is fragile, that every time he breaks a promise to himself, he teaches his mind that his word is weak, and every time he honors his habits, he builds identity layer by layer. This is not glamorous. It is slow. It is quiet. It is sacred. You are not just forming habits. You are becoming someone. The man who moves with rhythm, with purpose, with direction does not need to be motivated. He is governed by something stronger. Conviction. There is something more powerful than goals, more enduring than motivation, more clarifying than strategy. It is purpose. Without purpose, even the best plan feels empty. Even the best day feels directionless. But with purpose, even the hardest path makes sense. The Stoic philosophy is rooted in clarity of aim, not an aim given by others, not an aim inherited by tradition, but one that is chosen deliberately and renewed constantly. You must know your why. not in theory, but in your bones. You must know what drives you when comfort calls and no one is watching. You must know what makes effort worth it. Without purpose, discipline becomes torture. With purpose, discipline becomes devotion. You are not here to simply exist. You are here to become, to create, to contribute, to live deeply and leave something. Behind that is more than noise. So ask yourself not what the world expects, but what your soul demands. What burns in you that cannot be ignored? What would you still pursue if no one clapped? What would make you proud to look back on in your final days? These are not easy questions, but the Stoic does not fear them. He welcomes them, because he knows a man who avoids hard questions lives a shallow life. When you find your purpose, your habits change, not because you force them, but because they align. You stop needing to be pushed. You begin to pull yourself forward from within. Purpose brings meaning to repetition, to early mornings, to hard conversations, to unseen efforts, because each of them is part of the mission. Purpose is not always loud. Sometimes it is a whisper, a sense, a direction. You feel it when you are fully present. You feel it when you do something difficult and something inside you says, yes, this matters. But purpose is not static. It must be revisited, refined, recommitted to. Life will test your alignment. Distraction will offer you detours. Fatigue will ask you to forget. You must return, again and again, to the question, why do I wake up? Why do I endure? Why do I give? Why do I grow? And the answer will change with you. Let it, but never abandon it. When you live with purpose, you suffer less, not because life gets easier, but because it gets clearer. Your pain gains context. Your silence gains strength. Your days gain weight. Even your setbacks become sacred. The Stoic does not aim to impress. He aims to align. He knows that a man who lives on purpose lives fully no matter how long he has, and that man leaves behind more than success. He leaves behind example, not in words, but in the way he walked. Living with purpose does not protect you from pain. It prepares you for it. Because even with clarity and discipline and vision, you will still be tested. That is the nature of life. Not every season is easy. Not every day rewards you. But the Stoic does not ask for ease. He asks for strength. Pain is not the enemy. It is a mirror. It shows you who you are and what you still need to become. You must learn to sit with it, not escape it, not numb it, not complain about it. Sit with it. Observe it. Learn from it. The Stoic philosophy teaches that suffering is not punishment, it is refinement. You are being shaped, not shattered. Growth does not happen in comfort. It happens in the hard mornings, the lonely efforts, the quiet endurance that no one sees, and that is where your foundation is built. You do not grow stronger by reading about it or hoping for it. You grow stronger by walking through fire and coming out clearer. You will face disappointment. You will lose people. You will question your path. That is not failure. That is life testing your alignment. And if your roots are deep, you will not be moved. Pain becomes power when it is translated into wisdom. You learn what matters. You stop chasing noise. You return to the essential. It is often through pain that the greatest clarity arrives. You are stripped of illusion, of ego, of all, the things you thought you needed but never did, and what remains is real. The Stoic does not fear the storm. He prepares for it. He welcomes its arrival not with weakness but with readiness. He knows that the storm is not here to break him, but to reveal him. So when you are in it, breathe deeper, step slower, speak less, listen more. Ask yourself, what is this pain teaching me? What is it exposing about my expectations, my attachments, my assumptions? What is it calling me to release, to strengthen, to rebuild? Do not rush through pain. You will miss its lesson. The Stoic walks through suffering with stillness, not because he enjoys it, but because he understands it. It is not punishment. It is preparation. You are being shaped for the next version of you, the one that cannot be shaken because he has already been through worse and chose to rise. So let pain do its work. Let it cut away the excess. Let it awaken the dormant strength. And when the season changes as it always does, you will not just be healed. You will be transformed. Pain strengthens the mind, but time reveals what you do with it. Because without mastery of your time, all strength, all purpose, all clarity begins to dissolve. The Stoic philosophy reminds us that time is life, and once lost, it does not return. Every moment is a choice. A brushstroke on the painting of your character, a step toward meaning, or a drift toward regret. Most people do not waste time. They surrender it to things that do not matter, to distractions that feel urgent but are ultimately hollow. You must take your time back, not with fury but with focus. Start with your attention. Where does it go the moment you wake? To your mission or to your escape? How you begin your day shapes how you live it. A few distracted choices become an unanchored morning, then a scattered afternoon, then a wasted day, then a directionless life. The Stoic does not live by accident. He begins with awareness. He observes without judgment but with responsibility. He blocks time not for control but for clarity. He asks, what matters most today, and how do I make sure it gets done before the world tries to steal it from me? You do not need more hours. You need more intention. Your calendar is a reflection of your values. If peace matters, you make space for it. If growth matters, you schedule it. If rest matters, you protect it. The undisciplined man lets others decide how he spends his life. The Stoic chooses. He is not ruled by every notification, every invitation, every opinion. He guards his time like a soldier guards a gate. Because he knows every yes is a no to something else. When you say yes to noise, you say no to depth. When you say yes to urgency, you say no to importance. When you say yes to pleasing others, you say no to building yourself. Do not try to do more. Try to do what matters without being pulled away. That is focus. And focus is the sharpest form of power. Without it, your energy scatters. With it, you become unstoppable. The Stoic man does not rush. He moves with purpose. He does not multitask his way through life. He does one thing and he does it fully. When he rests, he rests. When he works, he works. When he speaks with intention. This is not about perfection. This is about presence. Time is not a thing you spend. It is a thing you become. So ask yourself at the end of each day, was I there or was I elsewhere? And when the answer becomes, I was present, I was deliberate, I was aligned, then you will know you are no longer wasting time, you are living it. You have mastered your time, but now you must master your direction. Not just where you are going, but why you are going there. Purpose gives you energy, but decision gives you movement. The Stoic philosophy teaches that a man without direction is like a ship without a compass. No matter how fast he sails, he ends up lost. Most people live in reaction. They wait for permission, for opportunity, for approval. They wait for the right mood, the perfect moment, the absence of fear. But waiting is a silent surrender. It is how years vanish while dreams remain untouched. You must decide. Not wish. Not try. Decide. That decision is the beginning of transformation, because it is the death of excuses. You no longer say maybe one day. You say this is the day, and then you act not when it feels good, but because it is aligned. The Stoic does not move based on comfort, but based on clarity. He knows that clarity without action is cowardice, so he trains himself to move quickly but with wisdom. He does not hesitate endlessly. He listens, reflects, chooses, and steps forward, because in the end every hesitation is a vote for staying the same. And staying the same is often the most dangerous choice of all. Growth is never passive. It demands friction. It demands risk. It demands movement. The Stoic prepares himself for this. He does not expect the path to be smooth, but he expects himself to continue walking. There will be setbacks. That is not a question, but how you respond to them is the difference between drifting and rising. If you do not decide, the world decides for you. It fills your time with its demands. It fills your mind with its noise. But when you decide, you reclaim yourself. The Stoic does not fear failure. He fears regret. He knows that progress does not come from standing still, even if standing still feels safe. So he practices movement every single day. Small forward steps done with purpose, done with courage, done without applause. This is the way. You want to feel ready, but readiness comes from movement, not before it. Action breeds belief. Every time you act, you prove to yourself that you are not waiting anymore, that you are leading yourself, that you are no longer hoping, but becoming. And in that becoming, you discover something powerful. The confidence you were waiting for was not a requirement. It was a reward. You have chosen your path. You have committed to movement. Now the question becomes, who walks beside you? Because you do not walk alone. No one does. And the people closest to you shape the pace, the tone, and the depth of your journey. The Stoic philosophy teaches that environment is not neutral. It either strengthens your direction or pulls you away from it. You must choose your circle with the same precision you choose your values. Are you surrounded by clarity or by confusion? Do those around you speak in excuses or speak in action? Do they remind you of your power or of your limits? If you walk with those who drift, you will begin to float. If you walk with those who blame you, will begin to resent. If you walk with those who shrink, you will forget how to rise. But if you walk with those who move with purpose, who live with discipline, who hold themselves accountable, then you will feel yourself lifted without needing to be pushed. Energy is contagious. So is doubt. You must protect your mind by protecting your proximity. This is not about judgment. This is about responsibility. The Stoic chooses not just who he allows near, but who he listens to, who he reflects with, who he learns from. He knows that praise is not always support, and that silence is not always loyalty. He looks beyond appearance and listens for alignment. A true friend does not comfort your weakness. He calls you to your strength. He does not indulge your excuses. He reminds you of your capacity. He does not compete with you. He rises with you. Seek those people. And if you cannot find them, become one of them so that others may find you. This is how the Stoic builds his circle. Not with popularity, but with purpose. He does not keep people in his life out of nostalgia. He keeps those who walk in the same direction. Let go of those who no longer serve your becoming, not with anger, but with grace. Not because they are bad, but because your path requires something different now. Surround yourself with discipline, with wisdom, with action. Let every conversation either sharpen your mind or deepen your presence. And be that for others. Because the circle you build will become the mirror you live inside. The Stoic man knows that while the path is walked alone, it is strengthened by those who remind him of who he is becoming. So choose your circle as if your future depends on it. Because it does. You have built your circle. You have chosen your focus. Now you must train yourself to live each day with intention, because even a clear mind can be pulled into chaos if it is not disciplined in action. The Stoic philosophy does not seek a perfect day. It seeks a meaningful one. Meaning is not found in the number of tasks, but in the quality of presence. Each moment offers you a question. Will you be here, or will you be elsewhere? The difference between progress and distraction is often a single breath, a single pause, a single decision to come back to now. You are not what you plan to do. You are what you practice. And what you practice today becomes your identity tomorrow. So begin with presence. When you eat, taste. When you work, focus. When you speak, mean it. When you rest, truly rest. Do not rush through the day as if it were an obstacle. It is the canvas of your becoming. The Stoic walks slowly but deliberately. He knows that rushing is often a sign of running not toward, but away. Away from discomfort. Away from discipline. Away from awareness. So he trains his body to move with rhythm. He trains his mind to return to breath. He trains his attention to serve his values. Each task becomes a meditation. Each action becomes a declaration. I am here, and I am choosing this. This kind of day does not look impressive, but it feels real. It builds something within you that cannot be seen, but can always be sensed. And when you string enough of these days together, a life begins to take shape. Not a loud life, but a solid one. One rooted in truth, not trends. One built on virtue, not vanity. One remembered not for its noise, but for its integrity. To live this way, you must cut away what scatters you. You must silence what distracts you. You must challenge what weakens you. This is the discipline the modern world forgets because it is easier to be busy than to be present. It is easier to be overwhelmed than to be still. But the Stoic does not seek what is easy. He seeks what is true, and truth requires attention. So bring yourself back to this moment, to this task, to this breath. This is where strength is formed, not someday, but now. And the more you return to now, the more unshakable you become. Not because life slows down, but because you are no longer pulled by everything that passes through it. You have learned to return to the moment, to live with rhythm, to build quietly. But life will not always allow you to move in peace. There will be noise. There will be pressure. There will be chaos outside your control. And that is why the next foundation must be acceptance. The Stoic philosophy teaches us that peace does not come from changing everything around us, but from changing the way we meet it. You cannot control what others say. You cannot control the weather, the market, the politics, the opinions, the surprises, the storms. But you can control your response. That is where your freedom lives. A man who seeks to control the world becomes bitter, exhausted, defeated. But the man who controls his reaction becomes free. He does not demand perfection from others, because he does not demand it from life. He expects the unexpected, not with pessimism, but with preparation. The Stoic wakes up knowing that things may not go to plan, and yet he proceeds with calm, because his peace is not tied to outcome, but to his own discipline. He knows that anger is a misuse of energy, and that complaining is a form of surrender. So he practices stillness not as escape, but as strength. When insult comes, he breathes. When delays come, he adapts. When failure arrives, he reflects. Because he understands that the obstacle is not always the enemy. It is often the test. And behind the test is transformation. Most people live in reaction. They are controlled by what happens to them. Their emotions are puppets pulled by circumstance. But the Stoic takes a breath and pauses. He creates space between what happens and how he responds. In that space is power. He chooses patience instead of panic. He chooses clarity instead of chaos. He chooses response over reaction. This is not passive. It is active self-command. Acceptance does not mean agreement. It does not mean weakness. It means choosing not to suffer unnecessarily. It means recognizing what belongs to you and what does not. You are responsible for your thoughts, your actions, your character. Everything else is not yours to hold. This is why the Stoic does not waste time arguing with reality. He meets it as it is, not as he wishes it were, and in doing so he becomes unshakable. Because no storm can break the man who does not resist the wind, but bends with it, learns from it, and walks forward anyway. This is true freedom. Not the power to control life, but the power to remain calm within it, to rise without resentment, to endure without collapse. So when life interrupts your rhythm, remember this. You are not here to fix everything, you are here to master yourself within it. And if you can do that, you can move through anything with grace. You have learned to accept what you cannot control. Now comes the most difficult lesson: to forgive, not just others, but yourself. The Stoic philosophy teaches that peace begins when blame ends. And blame, whether outward or inward, is a chain you wrap around your own strength. You will make mistakes. You already have. You will hurt others. You will fall short. You will break promises to yourself and to those you care about. This is not weakness. This is what it means to be human. But to carry guilt endlessly, to let shame become your identity, is to poison the future with the weight of the past. You must learn to reflect without self-destruction, to hold yourself accountable without crucifying your soul, because you cannot walk forward while looking backward. The Stoic man examines himself daily, not to feed his ego and not to beat himself down. He looks in the mirror to see clearly what must be corrected, what must be strengthened, and what must be released. He takes responsibility, but not resentment. He studies the lesson, but does not relive the wound. Because regret unmanaged becomes a form of self-punishment that solves nothing. You must learn to say, "I did not know better, but now I do." And that difference is where growth begins. You cannot demand a perfect path from an imperfect soul. So forgive. Genuinely. Forgive those who hurt you, not because they deserve it, but because your mind deserves peace. And forgive yourself not because you did nothing wrong, but because you are no longer that version of you. Every day you learn. Every day you change. Every day you get closer to living aligned. The Stoic knows that guilt is a teacher, not a home. When the lesson is learned, the burden must be put down. There is no virtue in carrying what no longer serves you. So make peace with your past, not by rewriting it, but by using it. Let it humble you, not haunt you. Let it shape your wisdom, not your worth. You are not here to be flawless. You are here to be forged. And what forges you is not what you avoid, but what you face. So face yourself fully, without excuses, without shame. Say, "This is who I was. This is who I am. And this is who I am becoming." Let that be enough to begin again with honor. You have walked through silence. You have sat with pain. You have reclaimed your time. You have mastered your mindset. You have chosen purpose. You have built habits. You have forgiven. Now you must continue, because this work is never done. The Stoic philosophy does not promise a final victory. It promises the strength to keep rising. Every day you begin again. The world will still test you. The noise will still return. Distraction will still call your name. Comfort will still offer its illusions. And weakness will still whisper in your ear, pretending to be your friend. But you now know that you have a choice. You are no longer living unconsciously. You are no longer ruled by impulse. You are no longer a slave to fear, to approval, to chaos. You are governed by principles, by clarity, by the deep knowing that you were not made to drift, but to decide. And so you continue. You wake with discipline, not because it's easy, but because it builds you. You act with purpose, not because it's fast, but because it lasts. You speak with intention, not because it's comfortable, but because it's real. You respond to life not as a victim, but as a craftsman. You no longer fear failure because you know it teaches. You no longer fear silence because you know it centers. You no longer need to be loud to be strong, because you have found a different kind of power. Not the power that flexes, but the power that endures. Not the power that controls others, but the power that governs self. And from that place you live, not to impress, but to express. Not to chase, but to create. Not to perform, but to walk quietly into your own becoming. This is not the end. This is the beginning of every day that follows. You will still fail, but now you will rise without shame. You will still hurt, but now you will carry it with wisdom. You will still doubt, but now you will act anyway. Because now you know that the path is not something you find. It is something you build, one choice at a time, one moment at a time, one breath at a time. This is the life of the Stoic. Not perfect, but aligned. Not fearless, but faithful. Not finished, but formed and reforming with every sunrise. So carry your silence like a shield. Carry your presence like a sword, and walk forward with the kind of stillness that speaks louder than noise ever could. You are not here to impress the world. You are here to master yourself, and in doing so become a lighthouse for others who are lost. That is the quiet legacy of one who lives with honor, one who lives by Stoic philosophy.